Om Sada Shiva Samarambham
Shivasamarambham
Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Asmadacharya Paryantam
Smadacharya Paryantam
Vande
Vande
Guru
Guru
Paramparam
Paramparam
Om Mauna
Om
Vyakhya Prakatita
Yakya
Parabrahma
Prakadita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam
Varshishtante
Vasishtante
Vasadrishiganairavritam
Vasadrishiganairavritam Brahmanishtai
Acharyendram
Acharyendram Karakarkrita
Karunikamanarupam
Chinmudram
Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam
Svatmanamam Muditavadanam
Dakshinamurtimide
Dakshinamurtinide Vatavitapi Samipe Bhuvivage Nishannam
Sakala Muni
Sakalam
Janana
Munijananam Jnanadata Marat
Tribhuvana Guru
Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti
Devam
Devam
Janana
Janana
Marana
Marana
Yacheda
Dukkacheda Dakshinamami
Chitram
Chitram
Vatataro
Vatataror Mule
Vruddha
Vruddha
Guru
Shishya Guru Yuva
Gurostu
Gurostu Maunam
Vyakhyanam
Vyakhyanam
Shishyastu
Shishyastu Chinna
Samshaya
Samshaya
Vidhaye
Guru Sarva
Sarvavidyanam
Vidyanam
Vishaje
Vishaje
Vavarokina
Vavaroginam
Gurave
Gurave
Sarvalokanam
Sarvalokanam Dakshina
Dakshinamurtaye
Murtaye
Namaha
Namaha
Om Namah
Om Namah
Pranavarthaya
Pranavarthaya Shuddha
Jnanamurtaye
Murtaye
Nirmalaya
Nirmalaya
Prashantaya
Prashantaya
Dakshinamurtaye
Dakshinamurtaye
Namaha
Namaha.
Om we were in the 9th verse, correct?
Yes.
Dhurambhamsya nalo nilo paramah
Nilambaramahar Natho
Shupuma
Shufpuman
Ityabhati
Ityabhati Chara Charatmakavidam
Yasyaiva
Yasyaiva
Murtyashtakam
Murtyashtakam
Nanyat
Nanyat
Kinchana
Kinchana
Vidyate
Vidyate Vimushatam
Yasmat
Yasmat
Parasmat
Parasmat Vibhoho
Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Shri
Gurumurtaye
Gurumurtaye
Namaha
Namayidam
Shri
Shri
Dakshinamurtaye.
Dakshinamurtaye.
So Sureshwara had initially described Upasana here. How to do Upasana? By visualizing the total in the individual. In your own individual body, mind, sense complex, how you can visualize Dakshinamurti, who is Ashtamurti. Okay, so who is the one who is there as everything? So how to visualize that? So those things we saw. Then Sureshwara talked about Ashtanga Yoga as a sadhana, as a means for preparing oneself to gain a certain disposition of your mind so that you can become qualified for this knowledge and also assimilate this knowledge. Whatever is being revealed by the Shruti, you should be able to assimilate it, own it up. For that, yoga sadhana is very useful. It is prescribed, in fact. Now, in that context, Sureshwara, of course, talked about all the Ashtangas. And then the last few verses we saw that he even talked about what kind of phala of yoga sadhana one can see. Okay, in terms of once you have certain mastery over each of the Panchabhutas, that manifests itself in your body in certain ways, in your body, mind, sense complex, we have to say. So those things we saw here. Okay, so like starting with what? Here I think 34 maybe. Okay, so here you see initially he said that your body will be fragrant, it will shine like gold, you will feel very light, and your excretion etc. will become less, very less, like that. Then next level, he said that even thorns cannot actually pierce your skin. You will not be worried about all that. Then even water and slush and all cannot drown you, because this is, I think, you are gaining mastery over water here. Then your hunger, thirst, etc. also you will be able to withstand very much. Then third level, he is saying you can keep on eating as much as you want. Bhagwan Pana Bhoktritvam. Okay. Then even ability to withstand fire itself. And then even listening from a distance. Darshanam Shravanam Durat. Like this, you may have certain powers manifesting in yourself. Then fourth level, you will be able to even jump like a frog. Okay. Or even like Akasha Gamana Manali is saying, you can even fly in the sky. So those are all Vayu related. Then finally, what he said that you will have Trikala Jnanam and all that. So Yoga Drishti. This Trikala Jnanam, in fact, Bhashyakara accepts. He uses this as an argument in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya. So it's interesting. So here, also the Ashta Siddhis, finally, Animadi. So all these things one will gain, all these Siddhis, miraculous powers, you can say, okay. So these things are all possible for you as a yogi. And also, once the prana goes through the Sushumna, this nadi, then you can hear certain sounds also, he said. Okay, up to this we saw, I think, last time. So what we have to understand from all these things is, all these siddhis are important from one standpoint, which is that it gives people certain shraddha about our Shastra. Okay. So that way it is important. In fact, this is even said in the introduction. So if you read the commentary for Yoga Sutra, in the introduction itself, this particular point is talked about, that this Yoga Sadhana and Yoga Siddhi, all these things actually help people to have Shraddha in our Shastra. That's why it is important. This is talked about by traditional Acharyas. But it cannot be the end all or anything like that. But see, nowadays all these miracles have become a big deal. Anybody who is manifesting some miraculous power suddenly becomes an avatar or God and all that. I think that is a little too much, I think. There also we should have some viveka. Understand that? Because if we read our Purana, Itihasa, even all the Asuras and Rakshasas had miraculous powers, correct? Ravana was able to travel through the sky. Maricha was able to become a golden deer. So all these people, they all had miraculous powers. So that is not something which only yogis had or anything like that. Understand that. So miraculous powers anybody can have. But yoga sadhana also can give you all this. And as a mumukshu or even a bhakta, you cannot choose a guru just because somebody is doing some miracles, or at least whether they really do it or not also nowadays we don't know. But there is some talk about somebody doing some miracle should not be a basis at all, I feel. Because all these miracles can be even done by people who are not dharmic. That we can see even in our Itihasa Purana. Then it becomes a problem, correct? For the followers only it is a problem. So that is something we have to look at. Another thing also, even let us say somebody does some miracle and cures you of some illness and all that. That is not actually changing your situation fundamentally, understand that. Of course, it must have given you some relief and all that, but you are still the same individual who is subjected to the same limitations according to your own vision, correct? So as long as your samsaritvam is not gone, all these miracles are not helping you too much, understand that. Unless somebody teaches you Shastra, that person cannot be a guru, understand that. They have to teach you at least to follow dharma. If not Moksha Shastra, they have to at least prepare you for Moksha. So either a guru should prepare you for Moksha by talking about dharma and making you matured so that one day you will choose this. Or for those who are matured and who have chosen Moksha as the only pursuit, that person should be able to teach the Shastra, what the Veda is revealing. That is the main thing. So that's why the Upanishad also says Guru is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. That is very important to understand. Okay. So you should go to Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, not the one who has Yoga Siddhi or anything. Understand that. That may be an additional thing. As I told you, it does give Shraddha to people in general about our Shastras. So it is important that way. But otherwise, if you see in our tradition, everybody had all these miraculous powers. Both Devas and Asuras had. Rakshasas had. Even nowadays, if you see all these people, Mantrikas, Tantrikas and all, they have. So we have to have certain viveka with reference to, we have to discriminate with reference to all these things. Of course, when you are in your own personal sadhana, if some of these things happen, you should be aware of it. That's why the Shastra is discussing all these things. Okay. So you are in the right track. For that it is useful. Anyway, so after hearing all these sounds, next is what? Let us see that. Tanu napattatit tara taresha tapanopamam brahmanadin gate prane bimbarupam prakashate. So brahmanadin gate prane. See, prana first went into Sushumna Nadi, then what happens? Sureshwara said. Now it has gone into Brahmanadi. Okay, Brahmanadi means I think the Brahmarandra only Sureshwara is talking here. Through the Sushumna it rises and reaches the Brahmanadi. So when it goes there, what? Bimbarupam prakashate. So in the Shastra we talk about Bimba and Pratibimba. So Ishvara is the Bimba. Jiva is the Pratibimba. So looking at the Pratibimba, the reflection, which is Mithya, taking that as real only, everybody is suffering. One takes one's individuality as real. Thinks all our limitations are real and then struggling. But in reality, all of us are the Bimba, not the Pratibimba. We are not the reflection. Our self, aham iti, that aham, whatever spuranam is there, I sense, I would say. I won't even say I thought. It's not really a thought. Whatever is there as I, correct? That I transcends your body, mind, sense complex. And that is really it's not some kind of a reflection or anything. It is the real thing. That is the bimba, the original object, you can say. So that shines, means here Ishvara shines, we have to take. So in one way, what he is saying is Ishvara Siddhi, okay. And also some other things in the first line he is saying, okay. Tanuna patta tittara taresha tapanopamam, means also once the prana enters this Brahmanadi, one sees this Bimba Rupam, means Ishvara, means how is it? How is that experience he is describing now? It is like seeing fire, lightning, stars, moon and sun, all of them put together, maybe. Okay, it is like seeing all of them. So many times, even in this, people, there are books about near-death experience and all that. So people see some kind of a light. It's all talked about like that, correct? So this is also something like that. So you become one with the light at the end of the day. All this is again only we have to take it for what it is, okay? In fact, there is no becoming one and all that. You are already Brahman, you are already the limitless. You cannot become one with it or join or anything like that. The joining, becoming, everything is only figurative. It's all only with reference to ignorance going away and one gaining knowledge. But here we can take it as you are seeing, you are still, as a yogi, you are still a separate jiva, means the jiva is now seeing Ishvara. And that is so spectacular, okay, in terms of the brightness and light, what you see. So that is talked about here by Sureshwara. So that is something, again, this can be even once your prana reaches the Brahmarandra. So even Kundalini and other things people talk about. When the Kundalini rises, you have such experiences and all that. These are also documented by different people, different yogis. Then some interesting thing now Sureshwara goes into, let us see that. Shvasas charanti yavantaha manusyasya dinam prati tavanti yojananyarkaha shvase shvase pradhavati. So here something he is saying, okay, shvasaha charanti yavantaha manusyasya dinam prati. So dinam prati means every day, okay. So every day what the breath is going on, correct? You are breathing, shvasaha, you are taking air in air and you are leaving it out. So that is one breath, let us say. So many breaths are happening every day for human beings. Now when that is happening, what happens? Yojanani, arkaha yojanani pradhavati, shvase shvase, means whenever we take one breath, sun also is moving, okay. Arkaha here is sun, and yojana is one particular unit of distance which is used in Sanskrita. And again, the sun is supposed to move 21,600 yojanas, okay, when we take one breath. And again, this one yojana itself is around 8.5 miles and all that. Okay, that is the unit conversion if we do to modern units. So according to Sureshwara here, sun is moving many thousands of miles per second, okay, really fast. Maybe we have to cross check with what the cosmologists are saying now. In fact, some people have even done studies like this. See, even in Sayana Bhashya, the speed of light is mentioned in so many yojanas and all that. And I think some people like Subhash Kak and all, they have done some analysis. And they are saying that it is actually very close to whatever has been measured by modern science. Some things are like this are there in our Shastra. Of course, understand one thing, they have these things again, they have not given any derivation and all that. These are all just Arsha. The Rishi deduced it, Rishi saw it, and they wrote it. They have not given you any detailed derivation or some formula or some theory many times. But it is amazingly close to whatever is currently found in science also. It is there. So they had a certain knowledge about even things like this. So here he is saying the sun is moving like this. So whenever we are taking one breath, so again this breath is a reasonably long breath we have to take, like a pranayama guy. The people who do pranayama, they take a long breath. That is because another thing is there. It is said that your prarabdha is measured in breaths. Okay. So your life time is defined by so many breaths. After taking so many breaths, your body has become old, it has to be given up. Your karma is over, means your body is already jirna. So, like Bhagavan said, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinnati naroparani in the Gita. So once these clothes, they become old, you have to throw it away and wear new clothes. Like that, this body also becomes old. But when does it become old? The old there is not, it cannot be taken only as physically becoming old. Understand that. Here the old means karma is over. Otherwise, small people cannot die, correct? So if somebody's karma is over, means that purpose of that body is over. It has to go away. And that jiva has to take another body. So the time, the lifetime itself is measured in so many breaths. So if you want to extend your lifetime, then you gain mastery over this prana. So you breathe very slowly. Then you can live for a long time. So this is actually a theory. It is in yoga, people do that. In fact, they try to prolong their breath. Of course, also based on breath, many meditations and all we do, correct? We time the mental chanting, let us say, along with your breath, so that you have a certain mastery over your mind. Otherwise, mind will run away. So people even do things like Soham by coordinating it with one's own breath Even I myself have done that meditation and all that like that. For hours, you can do that. And you also attain a certain state of laya, okay? A certain calmness. Your mind becomes like one-pointed. It feels good also. Okay, it's something, it's a nice thing if you can sit in a place. Okay. So anyway, so this breath, each breath, sun is moving so much. Okay, so what? Why is he even saying this? Okay. So now let us see what further he says that. So he says, so first he talks about breath. We are taking breath every day. Then Eka Vimshati Sahasram Shatam Shwasa Sankhya Sohamityucharatyatma Mantram Pratyahamayushe. So this is what the Soham meditation I was talking about. So Eka Vimshati Sahasram Shatshatam means Eka Vimshati Sahasram is 21,000. Shatshatam is from Sandhi, but it is Shat Shatam 100, 600. So 21,600 Shwasa Sankhya. So that means normal people breathe 21,600 times in a day. Okay. And that each breath itself is actually only Soham iti Uchariti Atma. Really, your Atma is saying Soham, it seems, but we don't recognize it. That's the problem. So I am that, or I am him, means I am Ishvara. Soham really means that. It is something to be understood first. Just repeating it like a mantra may have some benefits. I am not denying that, but it's not going to give you moksha. It is to be understood. But the Atma is telling that only, it seems. That's what Sureshwara is saying here. 21,600 times. Soham iti ucharati Atma mantram pratyaham ayushe. So this mantra, Soham, I am he. I am this Ishvara. Okay. Then this mantra is what is repeated. In fact, because of that only your body is living. So every day 21,600 times whenever we are breathing, this Soham mantra is automatically repeated. Because of that only this body is retaining the prana. That's what he is saying here. One even lives only because of this. Like this, Sureshwara is saying here. Okay. So further what? Let us see that. Sakarancha hakarancha lopayitva prayojayet sandhim vai purva rupakhyam tatosau pranavo bhave. Okay. So the Soham is there. In that Sa and Ha you remove. Okay. Sakarancha hakarancha lopayitva. Lopa means to remove. Elide. In grammatically they use the word elide in grammar books. Okay, so essentially you are removing. Lopa means it is not there anymore. It is gone. So you remove Soham. Okay, some people even say Hamsa Soham, Hamsa, whatever. Okay, so or just Soham. Hamsa. Hamsa is supposed to be ulta of Soham. Okay. Saha, Aham is there. But that anyway goes away due to grammar only when it becomes so. Now even here, Sakara and Hakara, if you remove, what happens? The Soham will become just Om, correct? Because O and Im alone remains now. So Sakara, Akara, Hakara, when they go away from Soham, what remains is only Om. Okay. So here, so when you remove that, what remains is only Pranava. This mantra is only Pranava. So what he is pointing out is this Soham. Soham also has to now make you understand that you are Brahman. Sa and Ha, you have to give up. Correct? Really what is there is Om alone is there. Saha and Aham and all again is only Nitya. Bhagatyaga Lakshana and all we talk about. Even when we are talking about Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, like this Mahavakya. Soham also is Mahavakya. So whenever we talk about the Mahavakya, so how do we establish the identity? Because obviously there is a difference, correct? There cannot be any identity between the individual and Ishvara who is Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman, Sarvavyapi, all that. So Ishvara means everything is limitless. Limitless knowledge, limitless power, all pervading. Jiva, limited knowledge, only pervading one's own body, limited power, everything is limited. How can there be any equality or identity? Means obviously in every equation, apparent contradiction has to be there. Otherwise, you don't have to have even equation, correct? 1 equal to 1 is not an equation really. It's not even needed. So we have to arrive at the identity. Always in every equation, there is apparently it looks unequal. And we have to arrive at the identity. We have to work and try to understand how the identity can be achieved. So in this case, how do we achieve the identity? We have to leave all the upadhi, all the conditioning factor. Obviously the dharma, the qualities of the individual and Ishvara are totally different, cannot be equated. There is no identity there. We all know that. But what about the dharmi? The one whom we think has those qualities. In fact, the dharmi is one and the same. There are no two dharmis. Understand that. Bhagavan also says, Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In all the kshetras, I am the kshetrajñaha. There is only one kshetrajñaha, one consciousness. There may be n number of body, mind, sense complexes. There is only one consciousness. And that one consciousness is me. It is myself, in fact. So when we remove all these conditioning factors, which are all only dharma, which are superimposed again, they are all superimposed adhyastha. They don't really have any reality. They are all mithya. Correct. They are mithya and adhyastha, superimposed, false, you can say. The dharmi is satyam. Satyam jnanam anantam. Satchidananda. That is the dharmi. So if you see For both Ishvara and Jiva, the Dharmi is Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma, which another name for it is Om, in fact. Okay. Om is looked upon as a sound symbol indicating Brahman again. Okay. Om meditation also is talked about in Mundaka Upanishad. In fact, even Vidyaranya Swami in Panchadashi also recommends Om, long Oms, in fact. Om, like that. You don't have to chant it loud, but even mentally when you are doing meditation, long Oms can be practiced. Very useful to calm down, still one's mind. In fact, sannyasis are given this Om meditation. Pranava Japa, Pranava Dhyanam. Generally, only sannyasis are supposed to do. During the sannyasa diksha itself, this is given. In fact, for grihastha, they normally discourage. You should not do pure Om Japa or Om meditation. The reason being that people say that if you do only Om meditation, you will become a sannyasi. Like that. Also, there is a belief. Maybe it is true also. We don't know. But so that is why it is generally discouraged. Grihastha should do only Gayatri Japa and other Japa, whatever your Ishta Devata Japa. Generally, sannyasis are encouraged to do Pranava Japa, and that too long Pranava. Because that Pranava itself is nothing but it is a Lakshana for Brahman only. It's a sound symbol for Brahman. And even if you take the meaning also, it means Pranava. This Om comes from Avarakshane. It is a word meaning Ishvara only. Ishvara, Brahman, as Jagat Karanam is Om. So what we see here is when Sa and Ha are removed, Om alone is there. Means essentially in the Mahavakya, you remove the Upadhi. In this case, the consonants we remove. What remains is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om alone is there. Okay. So for that, you use the Sandhi. Sandhim vai Purva Rupakyam Prayojayet. So here Sureshwara says you apply this Sandhi rule called Purva Rupakya Sandhi, and you can remove Sa and Ha, and what is there is only Om, Pranava Ha Bhave. So this is another way of indicating this Bhagatyaga Lakshanam only, I think. This is my own interpretation, okay? That's what occurred to me when I read this verse, and it makes sense, I think. So, this Pranava, chanting Pranava itself is supposed to be a very, very great sadhana. I think even in some other minor Upanishads and all I have read that if you chant Pranava every day for so many 1,000 times, and then there are great benefits for that and all that. Okay, so like that, this Pranava chanting itself is a great help for assimilating this knowledge. Because we can look at Om itself in many ways, correct? Even in Mandukya Upanishad, Om is talked about. So the A, U, Ma, you look up, you can visualize as different things and then try to understand the reality behind those three things, which is yourself. So like this Pranava Upasana, this Soham, you start with Soham and then only end with Om. So these are all different Upasana only, we have to say. how it progresses. That's what here Sureshwara is showing to us. So you start with normal people are only breathing. Although Soham is happening, they are not even aware of it. Correct? 21,000 times you are breathing, you are not even aware. Nobody even breathes consciously nowadays. Everybody is so busy. But maybe this corona and sitting at home and all that, some people are even they are starting to count their own breaths maybe. Some people have started that, I think. Whatever. So at least you consciously breathe. And then along with the breath, you can coordinate this Soham. That is a good practice actually. So it will actually help you to gain certain disposition of your mind. And then what that Soham again has to lead you to only Om. That is the understanding, final understanding, Pranava Rupa. Okay. So that's what he is now talking about, Pranava. Akarascha makaro bindu nadakau panchaksharanyamunyahu pranavasthani panditaha. So, about Pranava. So, Pranava can be looked at. Okay, another thing is some people write in English as A-U-M and they even somehow chant it like Aum and all that. That's not right. Okay. Om is Om only. You don't have to chant it as Aum and all that. That is not correct. You don't even have to write it as A-U-M. A-U-M and all is only for your understanding. Om is a single syllable. It is Om only. But when we do Upasana, we are looking at three aspects. How did the sound Om come? Means Om sound is a combination of A, U and Correct? And then so we take those three and use it for again doing visualization and understanding certain things. So the Om as a symbol, in fact, the Vyakta, whatever is here, what we hear as sound has three parts, A, U and Ma. But the Shaiva Siddhantis, okay, and even some others, they bring in two more things into that, Bindu and Nada. So that's why here you can see Akaraschapi Ukarascha Makaraha. This is fine, we know this. Then he Bindu Nada Kau, two more things are added here. There is Bindu and Nada also. They are there. Panchaksharani Amunyahu Pranavasthani Panditaha. So the Panditas say this Pranava, okay, in the Pranava, these five things are there. A, U, Ma, but Bindu and Nada also are there. So Nada is the sound which is coming from Mooladhara, they say. And Bindu is, it doesn't really have any sound, I think, but it is there. Okay. So in the Anuswara also there is a Bindu we keep, correct? The Bindu is there. Chandra Bindu or generally Bindu, we keep a dot. So everything revolves around that Bindu. So like this, there are five aspects are there. These Vyakta aspects are three. Two more Avyakta are also there. Like that it is looked upon. This Omkara itself is looked upon like that. And Omkara is again a Lakshana for this Brahman, which transcends both manifest and unmanifest. Vyakta and Avyakta, all these five things we can talk about. Five aspects of Om, Akara, Ukara, Makara, Bindu, Nada. But finally what we have to understand that this Omkara is a word which is indicating Brahman, which again is transcending all these five. So that's what we have to understand. So here further, since this is a upasana, so pranava is now talked about as panchakshara, not even 3 aspects, but 5 aspects to that. And now 5 devatas are also will be assigned to each of those things. So that is the next verse. Brahma, Vishnuscha, Rudrascha. Okay, or we have to chant it like this. Brahma, Vishnuscha, Rudrascha, Ishwarascha, Sadashivaha. So Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Ishvara, Sadashiva. Like that, 5. So Teshvakshareshu Tishtanti Shatrimshat Tattva Sanyutaha. So actually, even before this 36 tattvas of Shaiva Siddhanta was talked about, okay. So here what Sureshwara is pointing is this entire creation is there only in this Omkara. That is what you have to visualize. Okay, everything, like even scientists are saying, everything is reduced to a singularity from where this big bang happens and all. But like that, this entire Srishti, which is made up of 36 tattvas, 36 principles, okay, they are all there in this Omkara. How? So Akara, the Devata for Akara is Brahma, Devata for Ukara is Vishnu, and Devata for Makara is Rudra. Then Bindu is Ishvara, and Nada is Sadashiva. And they are now sitting in this Omkara with along with the Shatrimshat Tattva Sanyutaha, means these Devatas, 5-fold Devatas are sitting in that Omkara itself with the 36 Tattvas also. So that means what? This Omkara is the representative for this entire Srishti. Everything comes from Om only originally. And that Om itself, actually what it means, it is a sound symbol for Brahman. It's a Lakshana for Brahman. It indicates only Brahman. Everything has come from this Brahman alone, which is Satyam. So that's what we have to understand. So this is again another type of upasana, taking into account the Shaiva Siddhanta tattvas and seeing all these tattvas along with these devatas in Om, and that Om itself finally only resolves into yourself. So that is the idea here. So like this you can do Pranava Upasana also. Now here he has discussed in the last, starting from breath onwards, Soham, and then how Soham becomes only Om, and then how do we look at the Omkara itself as everything, as a representative of everything, and how that Omkara again resolves into Brahman. So all these things we saw here. So this is another form of Upasana to assimilate this knowledge. So Om and Brahman are same. Omiti Brahma, Omiti Tagum Sarvam. Like it, even Taittiriya it is there. So Om is Brahman. From this Brahman only this entire Srishti has come. This is what we have to understand. And Brahman is Satyam. Karana is always Satyam. Karya is Mithya. It doesn't really count. So Brahman alone is really there. And that Brahman is not separate from yourself. That is what is to be understood. And how can we understand this? Now that he is saying next. Okay. Guru Prasadal Labhate Yogamashtanga Lakshanam Shiva Prasadal Labhate Yoga Siddhincha Shashwati. So only due to Guru and Ishvara Prasada we can get all these things. Correct? So Guru has to guide you. Even for Ashtanga Yoga also, Guru is required. None of these things you can do by yourself. You have to go and learn from somebody who has already learned all these things and who has gained whatever is supposed to be gained by that Vidya. So Guru Prasadat Labhate Yogam Ashtanga Lakshanam. So the Ashtanga, the yoga which is characterized by Ashtangas, you gain that by the Guru's grace only. Okay. Similarly, what? Yoga Siddhim Shashwati. Yoga Siddhim here means Jnana only is Yoga Siddhi. Understand that. Finally, here Sureshwara is not talking about all the other Ashta Siddhi kind of things. They are all only like on the way those things happen. But really, yoga, even in Bhagavad Gita also, 6th chapter, the yoga, what we talk as yoga, is really, what is that? It is Tam Vidya Dukkha Sai Yoga Yogam Yoga Samhitam. Means the jnana, by knowing which, or know it as that which by which what you dissociate yourself from the association with all dukkha. No more dukkha. Atma with tarati shokam, like that it is said. So the yoga, ultimately yoga also is another word for jnanam only. Atma jnanam only is yoga here. That also you gain through Shiva Prasadat Labhate. Ishvara Prasada is important. Ishvara's grace is important even for a mumukshu, because there are so many things are there within us. There are things in unconscious. So even though you have some clarity, you have done Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, you are doing Shastra Shravanam regularly, but certain things happening or coming out of your unconscious can actually make you not enjoy the fruits of this knowledge. So then how do I take care of all that? Means Ishvara. So Ishvara's grace is required there. Tapas is required again. So all the yoga sadhana and all is only to take care of all these things. There is a kashaya, sakashayam vijaniyat. Like that even Gaudapada says in Mandukya Karika. So there is all this, there is a coloring as though your mind is colored. Not only the conscious mind, it is colored by the subconscious, unconscious mind. So we have to take care of that. It is tainted by all these things. So we have to gain a certain relative freedom from all these things. Then only one can enjoy the fruits of this knowledge, the total freedom. Otherwise, there is still some problem is there. Okay. So that is where all this yoga sadhana is very important. And Guru and Ishvara Prasada, only due to that we gain jnana and jnana nishtha also, jnana phala. Particularly the results of this knowledge is only because of Ishvara Prasada. That is very important. Okay, I think this is the last verse. So what is that? Finally, what Sureshwara is saying, Satchidananda Rupaya Bindunadantaratmane Adi Madhyanta Shunyaya Gurunam Gurave Namaha. So now again, finally, Dakshinamurti is doing Namaha to Dakshinamurti. And Dakshinamurti is Satchidananda Rupa. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Anandam Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Like that. Even in Brihadaranyaka, Brahman, Brahma Lakshana is, one of the Lakshana is Ananda. Satyam Jnanam Anandam is from Taitriya. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma is from Brihadaranyaka. But commonly we take Sachidananda. Okay. So Brahman is indicated by the word Sat, Chit and Ananda. And that one who is this Sachidananda Swarupa is Ishvara. And also the one who is the Antaratma of Bindu and Nada. So this is again a Shaiva Siddhanta concept. So even the one who transcends this Bindu and Nada. Bindu and Nada we can take it as the unmanifest principles. Okay, in terms of space and vibration and all that. Okay, space, time and vibration is Bindu and Nada in their potential form, we can say. And the one who transcends even that Ishvara, one who is Adi Madhyanta Shunyaya, one who is beginningless and one who is endless. So Adi also is Shunya. There is no Adi for Ishvara and there is no Madhya also, in fact, really. Okay. So Ishvara is limitless Tattva, correct? So in the limitless, where is the beginning, where is middle, where is end? You cannot say this is the beginning, middle or end or anything like that. So in every Shiva temple, this is shown beautifully, correct? If you go to all these big Ishvara temple and if you go around the sanctum, typically on the back side, this Lingodbhava Murti will be there. So even the Shivaratri story is that, correct? Lingodbhava means what? Vishnu and Brahma went in each direction to find the end of the Shivalinga, but they could not really find any end. Correct? It's endless. It's limitless. So there is no Adi, Madhya, or Shunya or anything. Limitless Chaitanya. So wherever you go, this Chaitanya is already there. In fact, in Ishavasya Upanishad it is said very nicely. So that Chaitanya is you, Dakshinamurti, and who is also a Gurunam Gurave Namaha, who is the Guru of all Gurus, Adi Guru. So the Guru Parampara also has to start from Ishvara only. Because Ishvara only has to reveal this knowledge. Ishvara being Sarvajnaha, Ishvara also has Atma Jnanam. And Atma Jnanam also, all this Jnanam, which is otherwise not available through the five senses and Anumana, etc. Whatever knowledge is not available through Laukika Pramana, the source of it is only Ishvara. It has to come from Ishvara only. And Atma Jnanam also is included in that. So the Guru Shishya Parampara is starting only from Ishvara. Whether you start from Narayana or Sadashiva Samarambham, we chant, or you can also chant Narayanam Padma Bhuvam. Like that, there is a verse. So starting from Narayana, Brahmaji, like that, also you can have the Guru Shishya Parampara. So the Guru Shishya Parampara starts from Ishvara. And to that Gurunam Guru, the Guru of the Gurus, my Namaskara. So with this ninth verse also we have finished. So iti Shri Dakshinamurti Stotrartha Pratipadake Prabandhe Manasollase Navamollasa Sangraha. So we have finished the Navama Ullasa. So the ninth verse and its commentary in the form of Vartika we have seen. Now we will be entering the last one. We will see that next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.